Hi, everybody.
Hi, good evening and welcome.
Yay, we're here. Together we rise. Oh my God. And tonight we're going to rise.
Yes, we are going to hit the ceiling and go beyond. I am Rochelle Schwartz.
I am Alicia Schwartz.
And we are mother-daughter
dynamic duo. That's for sure. We definitely are a duo.
Oh, yeah.
Dynamic
for
sure.
So before we do anything, Nim, will you do us a favor and just run the very fast commercial
video? All right. Go ahead, Mom. What were you going to say?
So what I was going to say is we're going to introduce to you such a beautiful, powerful, loving, heartfelt woman. And it's an honor for Alicia and myself to have Arielle Ford this evening with us. Go ahead.
So I would love to welcome Arielle Ford, who is such a inspiration to me. I've known her for feels like lifetimes. And she has taught me so much about just changing things up from what I'm used to. We were just having a conversation before and I'm like, oh, here I go. I have to go into this place now of just doing something totally different than I'm normally used to.
So welcome.
Welcome, Arielle Ford.
We are so happy.
If we can get her up on stage. You're not on stage. Why? What happened? Wait, she's not on. There you are. Okay.
Well, Alicia, I was going to say I've known you for 25 years because we met when Bo was a baby and Bo's 28.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Where has the time
And when you
gone?
told me your age, like when your birthday just now, I was like, wow.
Oh, it's not a secret. I just turned 70. I don't know what the big deal is. I still feel like I'm 36. I got lots of energy. It's not going to go away. This whole, anti-aging thing is just so stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you look amazing.
You
I love your hair.
Fabulous. I
like
love
that.
your hair.
I love it.
I love your hair.
It looks amazing. What were we going to say?
No, she wears it well. You really do. Because there's some people that really don't look well in gray. You look fabulous.
You do.
Well, I was very fortunate that I had a husband who kept saying, why do you spend all that time and money dyeing your hair dark? Let it go gray. And I'm so glad I did, because 3 months after I let it go gray, the pandemic hit, and I would have been trying to do it myself, which is a good idea. I have a lot of talent. Fooling with my hair is not one of them.
I hear you. I'm with you on that one. Yeah. So I just want everyone to kind of get to know who you are if they don't know who you are. I know you've written 11 books, and you're this. I look at you as the soulmate queen and someone that really knows what it takes to have an amazing relationship, and to work at it, and to do all the work you've done to manifest Brian. And that whole amazing story, your weddings were off the chain. Oh my God. I can't even, those weddings were magical. I still think of them. I swear. It just, and just, you're a force, you're a force for love. And so I just want people to know what we know.
Yeah.
And just to share a little bit about what you're up to today. And then we're going to ask you some good questions so that people really get some juicy,
some good information.
Yeah.
I really
do that. Yeah, I just completed writing my 12th book. It's actually my first novel, and it's coming out in June. It's called The Love Thief, and it's about a woman who gets her heart broken and her dreams crushed. and ends up going to India and having, even though she's not a seeker, ends up having a bunch of mystical experiences that make all her dreams come true. So I'm super excited.
Wow.
I spent the last 4 years writing it, and I'm just in final copy edits right now.
Wow.
That's going to be awesome.
What is it like to write your 12th book? Like, is it any easier than your 11th or your
first.
second?
No.
Or your,
No, this book was the hardest thing I've ever done, because writing, I wrote 11 nonfiction books, which were basically easy for me to do. And I had no idea how hard fiction is. It's kind of like, imagine that you're a specialist at doing mani-pedis, and then somebody says, oh, tomorrow you're doing brain surgery. That's how different writing fiction is.
wow.
And I didn't know when I started what I didn't know. And thank God I didn't know, because I would have never attempted it.
Yeah.
But, 4 years in, I'm happy. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. And, as I do with each book I complete, I always say I'm never writing again, and then something happens and I end up writing again. Who knows?
It's funny, because how did you come up with that title? That's a good
Well, it wasn't the original title I came up with. And I have a Hollywood producer who's going to turn the book into a limited series on Netflix or Prime or one of those. And the original title, she kept saying, just wasn't strong enough. And I understood what she meant. And so I spent a lot of time really like trying to figure out what it was. And then one night it came to me, and I was talking to Debbie, my dead sister. I talk to her all the time. And I said, okay, Debbie, if The Love Thief is the best title, send me a sign. And a second later, I saw a falling star.
Wow.
So I knew it was the title.
When you said it, I thought, maybe Debbie was involved in that title too, because
no, she's been involved with this entire thing. Yes, she never quits. Like, I thought doing that last book with her was it, but no, she wasn't done yet. So
no,
that's so cool though, that you have such a strong connection,
yes,
to her, that
you're writing with her.
Yeah.
Really what's going on.
But when she departed, what was the thing that she left you with? What was something that she left you with?
Oh, God. Well, when she left, I was surprised how much she hadn't gone anywhere. And she was still bossing me around, but just from the other side. So, even though I can't get her on demand, pretty much I can always feel or hear her on some level. And there's different levels. Like, sometimes she'll come to me in a dream, and it's so real, and her skin is so luminous. And all I keep thinking is, I got to get my phone out and video this. No one's going to believe how good she looks. She does. She looks amazing. She's still getting facials on the other side. She's still getting foot rubs on the other side.
That's right.
She hasn't really changed all that much. So, I don't know that there's any one specific thing, except that I'm very clear that there is no such thing as death. The body may drop away, but the spirit and the soul live on even more intensely than when they were here. So, so that's really the good news. I have zero fear of death now. The only fear I have left is I have a fear of suffering, because having watched how she died and having watched how my mother died, and both of them suffered so much.
Yeah.
I just, I don't want to ever do that. And the good news is I live in California, and California has the death option. We have assisted suicide as a right. So should I get into a situation where things are just really effed up?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you stick around for it.
Yeah. And I always said that. I always think, like, why would you want to have to go? You know what I mean? Like, that's just brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. Just brutal.
So I have a question. So we were talking just a few minutes ago about, what we think we should, the guy, the man, whoever you want to be with is the way you think you should be with that person. And you just kind of blew it around for me again, where it's like, okay, well, Alicia or Rochelle, if you're, you're conscious and you're spiritual, doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna,
That's the man.
that's the man that you
Well,
want.
so the women I come across in coaching and at my workshops that have the most hardest time of finding someone are the women who consider themselves spiritual. They have the hardest time, and the women that are the most successful are the ones who really understand what you want to manifest is how you're most going to feel with this person. How do you want to feel when you wake up in the morning and you roll over and you see them there? Do you want to feel loved and cherished and adored and somebody who's got your back and your safe place to land? Or do you want somebody who's going to go do a 2-hour meditation and then go to hot yoga where they're coveting the yogini teacher? Because the spiritual guys are not the good guys.
No, it's
Why?
true.
Why do people go on a spiritual path? Why do they go to personal growth? Because they're so messed up. They're suffering and they want to not suffer and they want to get better. So just like we may think, well, everybody could benefit from going to a Marianne Williamson lecture, not to say that she isn't the greatest speaker out there and has a lot to impart. That's not necessarily what the guy needs, So you want to really focus on, what are the heart traits and qualities that are most important to you? You want somebody who's kind, compassionate, honest, financially responsible.
Yes.
They don't have to be rich. They have to be financially responsible. You could marry a billionaire tomorrow and the money could be gone the next day.
Absolutely.
Right?
Exactly.
So
Absolutely.
you have to sort of get your priorities straight. Are you looking for a life partner to share your life with, somebody you can have fun with, but isn't your entire world? You guys have each other for the spiritual path and for the personal growth path.
We do.
But
that is true.
Yeah. So it's about really understanding there's no shortage of love in the world. There is no shortage of conscious men out there and they're looking for you. You're looking for them. They're looking for you. But how do you become visible? You can't be sitting in a condo in Boca hoping they're going to knock on the door, because the only one who's going to knock on the door is the FedEx or the UPS guy or the mailman.
Right.
None of whom are going to be appropriate most of the time.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got to get online. Online is where they are. And while there's a whole argument to be made, well, I don't want to do it and it's not fun, and blah, blah, blah. I have all the evidence in the world that it works.
Wow.
I have no shortage of clients who said it wouldn't work until they followed the instructions I gave them, which I give away for free. It's on my website, arielleford.com. And as soon as you get to my website, there's a pop-up and you can download the free online dating guide. And it's only 9 pages long, but if you follow the 9 pages, there's plenty of men to be had out there. But you have to stop thinking he's got to look like Brad Pitt or George Clooney with, a PhD.
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Well, Bradley Cooper you don't want, but that's a whole different.
No, well,
that's true. That's true.
I just like his look, but I get what you're
But
saying.
it's also manifesting, and it's also, I've done a lot of Joe Dispenza's work, and it's the feel. I can't tell you, when I go into that relationship, my heart just opens up, and the love that I feel for that man, I don't know what he looks like, but I sense him. Do you know what I'm saying? His kindness.
Well, I have on my website, there's a tab called Free Stuff. Free Stuff. And in the Free Stuff section, there's another tab called Feelingizations. And there's one in there called the Golden Cord Feelingization, where you get to meet your soulmate in 8 minutes.
I'm going.
Okay.
I call this love before first sight. And if you do that, like I did that every day for 6 months before I met Brian. I knew he was out there. I would close my eyes. I'd go into my heart. I would start talking to him. I would send him all this energy. And on the day that we met in the real 3D world, we recognized each other because we were already in relationship.
So great.
Wow.
Can you just share a brief of that story? Just real brief of that, how you... I just love it. I can listen to it 400 times. It doesn't matter.
The short version is I woke up one morning at 43 and I was trying to find my 25-pound cat, and the bed was empty, and I was feeling around this empty bed, and I had this thought was, oh no, I forgot to get married. And then I started thinking about, like, how could I be 43 and not married? And then I realized I was spending all my time and energy building my career. And I loved my career and everything was going really well. But I thought if I could manifest all the great stuff I'd already manifested, I could manifest a soulmate. So I made a list, a 9-page list of all the prayers, processes, and rituals I'd ever done for manifestation. And I applied them to my love life. And within a year, Brian and I met. Within 3 weeks, we got engaged. And a year later, we had 3 weddings. And that was 25 years ago.
Wow.
So it's all doable. It's all possible. But you have to manage your monkey mind. You have to manage the conversation. I'm too old. I'm too fat. I'm too damaged. All the good ones are taken. I live in the wrong city, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't matter because there are 8 billion people on the planet. Half of them are single, and you only need one.
That's right.
What is it that men find the most attractive with women? What is that, the quality?
There isn't one quality. It depends on the man. Like I'm a lot to handle. I can be very bossy and overbearing, and and if you misuse the English language, I'll be sure to correct you and stuff like that. And Brian loves that about me. He likes a very strong, confident women. Some other guys are looking for somebody who's going to be, a little more beta and a little, less intense. I mean, I'm certainly less intense today than I was 25 years ago.
Right.
This is just who I am. And I was never going to change for anybody. So there isn't one trait to be. And even if there was, even if I said, okay, it's this, are you going to turn yourself into a pretzel to be something you're not?
No.
Better off being authentically you, and dating up a storm until you find the one who thinks you're the funniest, most adorable, most fun woman he's ever met.
Yeah, it's
it's interesting because I'm really looking forward to seeing what it is. There must be something that I'm missing. There has to be.
Yeah, well, I feel the same.
There has to be.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's a numbers game. You have to be out there. You have to be visible. If you're going to do this, you have to commit to yourself to spend at least 30 minutes every day online, reaching out. The women who get married on Match.com are the ones who reached out first. If you're sitting back waiting for somebody,
no, I don't care. I don't care. I'll do it. I'll go. And that's no,
that is not.
But Match, I've never been on. I'm going to definitely do Match.
Yes, and Match also offers this thing called a booster or a boost, where you pay a little extra money, and then they make sure more people see you. So whatever add-ons you can add on, do that, and then you have to be sure that at least every 5 days you change something on your profile or you add a picture, because that'll change the algorithm. And if you're at all concerned about privacy, the most important thing to remember is the photos you use on Match cannot be used anywhere else on the internet, ever, anywhere, because people can now Google a photo and find you. So if you're looking to remain a little bit private, you need all new original photos.
That's good to know.
That is good to know. Online dating guide. It's all there.
Okay.
Right. So
So here's a question.
Sure.
Okay. So what was your biggest struggle in life and how did you overcome it?
Oh, there's so many to choose from. There was a time in the early 90s when I was living in LA. In LA, maybe the whole country went through a big recession. I was only focused that it was happening in LA and happening to me. And I nearly went bankrupt. I lost 90% of my business in 6 weeks. I got Epstein-Barr, and I dumped my boyfriend because he was an idiot, but not treating me well. So I was in this terrible place of, lost. I was lost and sick and heartbroken and miserable for about 18 months. And I just finally one day completely surrendered and just said, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing or what I should be doing. And I just was willing to do whatever showed up and to see what happened. And a series of things occurred that changed my whole life. Things that I could not have manifested on my own because I never had the imagination to dream up the stuff that happened. So, the paradox for me is I've been living, using, teaching law of attraction manifestation, since the early 90s and studying it longer than that. But what I've come to understand is the other side of that coin is destiny and being willing to surrender into what's coming at you and then taking the action steps to fulfill that. And one's not necessarily better than the other. But when I realized the greatest, biggest stuff that ever came to me was not stuff I intentionally manifested. It was stuff that I surrendered to allowing to fall into my lap.
That's really powerful.
Conversation.
Yeah, I love that, like surrendering into it versus trying to
surrender doesn't mean being passive.
No.
Right.
No, it doesn't.
So my whole way of being previously was very masculine driven. It was very action driven. It was go, 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 make it happen. And now I'm more in a space of allowing and receiving and not being attached to any of it. Because what I've realized over the last few years is that I no longer have any goals. I don't have a lot of ambition. I don't really have any desires. And one of the reasons I just went on this really big vacation was I realized I didn't even have a bucket list anymore. I just had this thing languishing in my bucket list for 36 years about wanting to go to Anguilla on a very romantic trip. And that finally has happened. So, it's a crazy place to be, but it's also very freeing because there's no disappointment there. There's nothing like, well, I tried to make it happen and it didn't happen.
Right.
Now it's just kind of like, well, wouldn't it be lovely if, or wouldn't it be fun if I can do such and such? And there's no driver behind it going, I gotta make it happen. I gotta make it happen.
Yeah. And there's a lot of wisdom in all of this as you age. A lot of wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's actually, I'm paying attention to it, which if you had told me any of this 30 years ago, I would have not possible,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's true. It's so funny because I think of course, your mom, Sheila, and I think of course, your sister, Debbie, and I look at you and I see all of them in you. You know what I mean? It's so beautiful to watch. It really is. I just love seeing them.
No, I really became my mother's daughter. And I have to say, I was over the last few years as she declined so horribly and it was just a horror show, the whole thing she was going through. I was so angry with my sister. It's like, how could you leave me alone with this? Like you knew this was coming and you spent. Like, that's not fair.
I can imagine.
Yeah. It's true. It is true. It's funny because I remember Debbie saying to me, because I always was like the external, my look, because that's what I grew up with. That's all I had was a pretty face. And as I was getting older, so she got very annoyed at me at some point in my life. And then as she was getting, she wasn't well on the last cruise, she asked me to come up to speak. She wanted to tell me something and she apologized because she said, I don't want to be here and grow old. It's up to you now. It's like she passed the wand or the baton to me. Now you take it.
When she was dying, she told me more than once that she had gotten really bored with life and that she felt like she had accomplished everything she came here to do. And she was always a drama queen. So of course, very, very dramatically.
Yeah.
And really it went on for weeks longer than it needed to. There got to a point where I'd go in and I'd whisper to her, is today the day? She'd say, yes, today's the day. It's like, okay, you can go. Really, you can go. Because she was totally immobile. She could do nothing except
Right.
possibly open her eyes once in a while. And then like 2 hours later, she'd whisper to me, "Nope, not today."
Oh my God, I love
Oh,
it.
that is
so
so
funny.
hard.
That is so hard.
I mean,
to
I
say.
can just
Oh my
definitely
God.
see that. So another question is, what's the one thing you want people to know about you?
Oh, that it was not predictable that I would do any of this stuff. It was never predictable that I would become an expert on love and relationships, especially with the home I grew up in, which I'm sure you heard plenty about from Debbie. You know, I grew up with two parents who hated each other. You know, like I never saw them hold hands. I never saw them hug or kiss. You know, mostly I saw my mother yelling at my father and my father just disappearing into TV with whatever sport was on.
Yeah.
So all of this was not predictable. I was a very depressed, lonely child. I was a terrible student. Like nothing that I became was, you know, somebody said, "Oh yes, someday she'll be doing this, that, or the other thing."
That's what's so amazing.
It
It's like
is.
living in the unknown of who you think
Yeah.
you're going to be because
You don't know.
you don't know. You really don't know.
You
It's
know,
amazing.
Your
No,
house,
when I was in high school, I came home from high school one day and there was this man in the living room with my mother who was there to enroll me in dental hygienist school. It wasn't predictable that I would graduate high school. I was such a bad student. And after he left, my mother said to me, "If you go and you become a dental hygienist, I'll buy you a trailer so you'll always have a place to live." And of course, in those days, the only place you could park a trailer was in Dania, which
Right.
right next to that creek by the airport.
That's
The highest aspiration my mother had for me is to be looking down people's throats all day and living in a trailer. That's how unpredictable it was that I would, you know, end up writing 12 books and, you
it's
know,
amazing.
It's amazing.
It really
It
is.
really is.
You know, I hear you, and my background is my childhood is very much like yours, really like that. It's like, oh my God. And it's true. You just don't know. You really don't know. And it is living in that unknown space gives you so much space to have things come to you.
You know, it's funny too, because if I think about, you know, me in school, I was horrible, you know, learning disability, the whole thing, but I always liked touch. I always connected and you like people. So that's when the whole massage thing came in and the coaching thing. And if I look at it, I could see why I am that. Do you know what I mean? Because it was part of me. Do you know? I followed it. I didn't know that that's what I was going to be. But when I look back at myself as a little girl, I could see that. I could see that's why I am where I am today, or who I am today with what I do.
It's so interesting. And I sometimes wonder, do you think it's a Jewish thing, a Jewish background of families?
Well, I know that you know, the core wound I came in with is poverty consciousness. Mm-hmm. And I know that because I'm Jewish, I came in with 5,000 years of poverty consciousness, and then being raised by a grandmother who survived the Depression and relatives who died in the Holocaust, and listening to my parents argue about money endlessly, and there was never enough.
Oh,
kind of in DNA, you know, the DNA thing. And the thing that I've learned is I have learned to manage and mitigate that part of my core wound so that it's not an issue every day, but it still surfaces every once in a while. But now I have tools to deal with.
Correct.
The most shocking thing I learned is that you are never, ever going to be free of your core wound, no matter what it is, whatever trauma you had, you're always going to have it. So rather than trying to eliminate it, just learn to embrace it, love it, manage it, deal with it, and know from time to time it's going to smack you in the face.
Absolutely.
And you pull out the toolkit. Oh, am I going to tap on this? Am I going to do Sedona method? Am I going to am I going to do a lavender bath? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know? So it's really about emotional management is, I think, the key to a happy life.
You know, you had said something, I don't even think you remember this, but you said something to me, God, a million years ago. You said, carry a red wallet. It's good feng
Oh,
shui.
I still do.
And I got a red wallet because you said get a red wallet and carry a red wallet. It's good for, and always make sure you have $100 cash in your
They'll
wallet.
do that. In
And
fact, I just took the last $100 bill out of my wallet today. My first thought was, I got to go to the bank tomorrow. I got to do something. I don't have $100 bill. But now, I don't know if I have one handy. I have these $1 million bills.
Yeah, and then I got one because
and
of
I
you.
do that. And I do that.
I have this $1 million bill that I have 3 of these in my wallet too. And I have one on my desk. And unfortunately, the guy who used to sell these doesn't sell them anymore. But I'm sure somewhere on Amazon.
I'm
can.
sure
You
on the
can get
internet
it.
or
You can.
Amazon. Probably
Yeah.
Amazon.
Yeah, you
But
can.
I remember that, and I do that today. I always have $100 in that wallet, and it's a red wallet, and I
Yeah,
love
because
it.
every time I see a $100 bill, I think, oh,
You
I
have
got
money.
money. Yeah. You can't be poor if you have a $100 bill.
True. And not only do I have 100, then I have more and more and more.
Yeah.
And then the cash just
Comes
keeps
flowing
coming,
in.
right?
Yeah, the screensaver on my desktop computer is $100 bills falling out of the sky.
Oh,
Love
yeah, I've
it.
seen things like
Yeah,
that. That's
I love
great.
that.
That is great.
I love that.
So the other question is, if you were going to give someone the best advice about life, what would it be?
Oh God, I just recorded 25 videos on that topic.
Did you really?
I haven't released them yet. The best advice, I would say that if you're in a relationship, then practicing wabi-sabi love is the best way to have it be a happy relationship, because wabi-sabi is the ancient Japanese aesthetic that honors all things old, worn, imperfect, and impermanent, and it seeks to find beauty and perfection in imperfection. So when you're practicing wabi-sabi love, you're really giving yourself a break and your partner a break, and you're not trying to change them or fix them. You're just looking to get a new perspective on what they're doing. So I'll give you an example. I was teaching this workshop in Idaho a long time ago and explaining this, and this woman stands up and she says, well, I have a problem even you can't solve. I was like, okay, that's happy. And she said, well, my name's Stephanie, and I've been married to a man named Garth for 16 years. And I'm a neat freak, a perfectionist, everything in its place kind of person. And he's a super messy, total slob. And I just don't think I can take it anymore. I've had 16 years of this, and I just hate it. And she said, the only reason we're still together today is that he has an out-of-state job. So he's gone 2 weeks of every month. So while he's gone, the house is mine, and it's clean, and it's perfect. And then a few hours after he gets home, it's a mess again. So I thought about it for a minute. And I said, hey, Stephanie, do you have a dog? And she said, yes. And I said, does your dog shed? She said, yes. And I said, well, what do you do when the dog sheds? She said, I vacuum up after him. And I said, you love your dog? And she got really quiet. And then she said, oh my God, Garth sheds. And she saw in that moment, just like the dog can't help shedding, Garth can't help but be a slob. And so I thought that was a great story.
Yeah, it is.
Pretty much forgot about it. And then when I was writing my last book, Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate, I remembered the story, and I thought, well, I got to track down this Stephanie and find out, was that a aha moment, or did something really change? So I called the promoter up and I said, I have this crazy question. You know, I did this workshop and there were 300 people there, but there was this woman named Stephanie, and she's married to Garth, and I have to talk to her. And the woman said to me, oh, she's my best friend. Here's her phone number. So I called Stephanie and I said, well, how are things going? And she said, oh my God, they've never been better. Garth and I have never been happier. She said, in fact, we're so happy he quit his out-of-state job so he could run an at-home business. So we're together 24/7. And yes, he's still a slob.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
So that's what wabi-sabi love is. He didn't change. She didn't say we have to talk. You know, all she did was she changed her perception. She did what I call going from annoyed to enjoyed, and learned to appreciate, yes, he's a slob. And that's the thing about relationships. You're in under the roof with another human being, and they have the playbook on how to piss you off on a regular basis. And you can either, bitch, moan, complain, scream, nag, whatever, and they're not going to change.
Yep.
The only thing that can change is your story about it. So you have to find the good in it. She knew Garth was a good man, just a slob.
Right, right.
She was good over sloppy.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a good story.
It is.
That was quick thinking, though, too.
Yeah.
That was really good.
That happens sometimes.
All right. Here's another really good one, because I really love this question. What advice would you give to your youngest self?
Oh, I think I would tell my younger self to quit stressing out and worrying that, it's all going to work out great in the end, So, I would say take bigger chances. And, because I used to worry a lot. I remember, especially when I was in my 20s, I'd come home from work and I would just, lie on the floor and pound my feet because I was so stressed out. And there was no reason to be stressed out. My boss was a pervert and my supervisor was an alcoholic, and I knew that. So rather than worry about what they think, I should have been planning how fast can I get away from these idiots. But instead, I'd come home worried about it. So I would say, really, just it's all going to be fine, and there's going to be some really low lows, and you're going to survive them. Like none of us gets out of here without having several dark nights of the soul.
For sure. Oh, for sure. That is for sure.
So, what activities in your life light you up and bring joy to your heart?
Well, there's a bunch of them. Eating probably being one of my favorites.
I think I know what you like.
I like food. Actually, I like connecting people. I have this deep intuitive sense when I'm talking to somebody and I know exactly either what they should do next or who they should meet. And then I connect them and then the magic happens. So that's really, really fun. What's really not fun is when you know what you know and they don't listen. That was a problem I had with my sister, because I would know stuff and I would warn her and I'd say, don't do that. Whatever you do, don't do that. And then she would do it. And then eventually she'd admit that I was right.
Right.
We went for a walk on the beach at La Jolla Shores one day. And I just said to her, I named off 3 things that I told her not to do that she did that cost her literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I said, how can I talk to you in such a way that you'll listen to me? And she started laughing and said, you can't, I'll never listen to you. Which I knew was true, and it was just so annoying. And so all I kept thinking was, oh my God, if only you hadn't done that. But, it just is what it is. So, I quit coaching for a long time because I would get annoyed with my clients.
Yeah.
They would make the same, they do the same shit over and over again. And then I just thought, well, why waste my time? Yes, they're paying me, but I don't want that money.
Exactly.
I stopped for a long time. And then somehow I got over it. So I still have clients that don't listen to me. But now it's just, I make notes and I just say, well, if you refer back to our last session where I said, XYZ might happen if you don't do this, because at least I know I'm doing my best.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to trying to manipulate somebody. And I do enjoy manipulating people. I have.
Yeah. I can understand that. I really can.
I can understand it too.
Yeah.
What's the best thing about manipulation?
Well, it's getting what you want without having to look like you're beating somebody else to do it.
That's true.
And
true. Great.
Yeah, and it's really just about languaging. When Brian and I first got married, I remember I came home from work one day. And I said to him, oh, we're going to have dinner with Deepak and Rita tonight. And I thought he'd be all excited about it because Deepak, even though he had a house here, he wasn't often here and he's fun to hang out with. Well, he got this really weird look on his face. And I said, what's that look? And he said, well, you didn't ask me. I said, well, don't you want to go? He said, that's not the point. You didn't ask me. It's disrespectful not to make plans without asking me. And I'm thinking, but I knew you'd want to go. Like, I didn't really get it. And this happened more than once. Like, and I finally realized I cannot commit him to something without asking him. I don't understand it.
Right.
I can't do it. So then I just started to tell people, if they said, well, do you want to do such and such? I would say, yes, you can count on me. I'm not going to answer for Brian, call him,
That's a good one. That is good.
And most of the time, he would want to do it, but I gave up my attachment to planning without him. So there were little things like that I call manipulation, which are really just, creative solutions to, an irreconcilable difference. He needs to be asked. I don't. If you made plans for me and it was something I'd want to do, I would just say thank you.
Yeah, it's true.
What do you think now that, and then this is kind of, but it just kind of leaves me, what's your love language? What's Brian? Do you know?
Oh, we have the same one. We both like quality time and words of affirmation. We both have the same one. And we both have the number one thing that isn't. Mine's not gifts and neither is his. So we don't even buy each other gifts for special occasions anymore. Unless I see something that I know he'd really like and it's not an occasion. But I don't feel loved because you gave me gifts. I mean, I like them, but I don't necessarily feel loved. But if you're going to spend time with me and acknowledge me, then I feel seen and appreciated.
Yeah. So what's the food you like now? Do you have any different things that you like to eat today versus?
Well, we just got back from Anguilla, which is like the best food in the world. So there's a whole bunch of stuff I ate there that was great. But no, I mostly like foods that aren't good for me. So I have a real thing for cheeseburgers and French fries.
Wow.
And I love chocolate, but chocolate gives me a headache.
Didn't used to. Even dark chocolate?
Especially dark chocolate.
Really?
Yeah, I can eat a little white chocolate. I can't eat chocolate anymore. So the older I get, the less foods I can eat unless I'm going to take a Pepcid AC.
Isn't that amazing?
I have the same thing. I have the same thing.
It's so weird.
It's so annoying,
It's so annoying.
So if I'm going to eat pizza, I take a drug first, like red sauce just kills me.
Me too. I can't do
drink.
it.
I cannot. And
Not
I can't drink alcohol at all. It gives me a headache.
I can't.
It's less and less today versus years
it's
ago.
amazing.
So basically, I can eat turkey and sweet potatoes and I'm fine. I've got like 9 safe foods.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
It's so good. Do you still like the cookie lady?
Oh, she's been out of business for years, but I loved the cookie lady, and I still love cookies.
She was good.
Yeah, she was the best. I loved her cupcakes.
Oh.
Every year on Debbie's birthday, we eat cupcakes.
Aww.
The cupcakes.
That's so nice.
Cupcake
When was the last time Debbie visited you?
Oh, well, probably about 3-4 weeks ago when I came up with the title and the following star thing. Yeah.
So here's another question. What's the biggest no-no in dating?
Oh,
what would you say?
Okay, so I actually did a video on this called Sex Before the First Date.
Oh, wow.
So the S stands for self-pleasure. Don't show up at a date really horny. E is for eat. Eat before you go on a date, even if you're going out to eat, so that you're not hungry and starving and then drinking and then you do something really stupid and you end up having sex. And the X is for never talk about your ex on the first date. So sex before the first date is a smart thing to do. And the other thing is never look at the date as if you're wondering, could this be the one?
Yeah,
you want to talk to them as if they're the person sitting next to you on the airplane. You're having a friendly conversation. You're not interrogating them. You're just, making a new friend. Something sort of lighthearted and fun about it. Because you can't make these decisions. There's all these crazy people out there who think there's a thing called love at first sight. That's a big myth. And and
that's
I'm going to know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to know. I'm going to take one look at somebody for 10 seconds, and I'm going to know. You need a year to get to really know somebody. You know, you need to really find out, is this the biggest decision of your life? If you're going to, you know, have them as a life partner, you need to get to know them, and you can't do that on a coffee date, or you can't do that by looking at them. You just need to befriend them and get to know them.
And what about sex?
Well, so the thing about sex is that when women have sex, or women get sexual pleasure from another person, then they emit all this oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone. So you become instantly bonded to somebody you don't know. So you need to really go as slow as possible, because your brain is going to hook onto this person because they gave you pleasure, not because they're good for you.
Right. Yeah,
That's good.
that is good.
And if you just want to have sex with them and it's a one night thing and you're never going to see them again, then just practice safe sex.
Right,
Right,
of course.
exactly.
But if you're really interested in them, don't have sex with them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
So, yeah, well, I mean, I know that this has been amazing for us.
yes.
And I just feel so honored that you are willing to come on and share all your wisdom. And of course, I got another dose of my Arielle to go on your website and do
Yeah.
Yeah, get the free online dating guide, and then also go to the free stuff and get the golden cord feelingization. All this stuff is free.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, you definitely want to do that. Okay, so you're running all my phone numbers below.
Yeah.
So I would definitely get rid of those.
Okay.
Hey, because I don't answer the phone.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Nim, don't put that on, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. Erase that. Okay.
But
so
we're going to do that. And just in case, if you just see somebody that perhaps kind of you think about Alicia or myself and you think, well, you know, maybe. I'm putting
the
it
Jewish
out there.
mother.
Anything's possible. And that, I think if I came across them out here, it'd be a little long distance for you.
That's true.
Well, only if they want to relocate or I want to relocate.
Well, that's the first thing you look at. Would you relocate for love?
Yes.
And if you would, then that's great.
Yeah.
So when you go to Match.com, open yourself up to the whole country, as opposed to, you know, putting a 50-mile limit on it or something.
Okay. I will definitely go on Match. Definitely.
And
great.
so, okay, well, we thank you so
Really,
much
thank
for
you.
coming and being with us. We love you.
We do. We are so grateful to you.
I'm happy to do it. It's great to see you guys.
It's great to see you.
Good to see you.
And
give Brian a big hug.
Yes, he said to give a big hug to you guys. He's upstairs. We've got some. Oops. Bye.
Oh.
My screen just went blank, so I'm going to sign off.
Okay, bye, Arielle.
Bye, sweetheart.
Bye.
Bye.
Oops, there. Ciao. I don't.
What happened? Oh, wait.
What did you do?
I don't know what happened.